In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the pinnacle of British air travel and contrasting the two very best widely available seats. But in an age where business class travel is just so good, is it worth the financial stretch to first class? And in reality, what do you really get despite a myriad of upsell options? This video will uncover all, so without further ado, you will join me at Heathrow's Terminal 5, the home of British Airways, and we'll make a start. Alrighty, so a very warm welcome back to the channel. We're going to be kicking off this comparison with a look firstly at that all-important check-in experience. After all, it's your very first touch point with the airline and it needs to be smooth, particularly when we're talking about these two very exclusive cabins. Now when it comes to the business class with British Airways, there's a couple of different options available too. There's a fully automated check-in approach, or secondly, manned desk options, so you get that real human interaction. Regardless of what you want, both are always available down that far left-hand side of Heathrow's Terminal 5. The efficiency doesn't stop there with thanks to the priority security lanes, and from there we'll take a quick tour directly through to the lounges and see exactly what that experience is like before we jump on over and see just how much better, or not, it may well be with first class. It wouldn't be a luxury travel experience without a number of different options available to us. Thankfully, at the home of British Airways, there are a range of different business class lounges you can help yourself to. Here, we're going to connect in the South Lounge. It's actually one of the tallest lounges available across the entirety of Heathrow, so you get some pretty cool views across most of it. But what then for all the various different food and beverage and seating areas? Well, on the food front, in the business class lounge at least, it's always a buffet. There's a decent range of different options available. My personal favourite is the breakfast. And then beyond that, you also then have a number of different facilities, whether it's bathrooms, whether it's showers, even in some of the lounges, which thankfully have received a bit of an update in recent times, and even various different boards, so you can keep an eye on that all-important departure time. It's not all trouble-free in paradise, however. The business class lounges have been incredibly busy in the last couple of years. I do think this is going to be a situation that will ease slightly with the upcoming changes to the British Airways Loyalty Club. That is something to consider, and it'll be interesting when we contrast that to first class in a moment, and you'll see some of the differences. Another area that is really worth noting is the bathrooms. They still have this incredibly Portakabin-esque style of appearance. So that's the arrival experience in the business class. What then about first class? If we paid all of that extra money to upgrade to it, exactly what is the experience going to be? Well, a very warm welcome to a world of maximum exclusivity. Here, first class passengers get to enjoy the first class wing full of dedicated check-in desks and even a private security lane which leads straight through to the first class lounge. Yes, dear travellers, gone are the days here where one even needs to worry about rubbing shoulders with the riffraff out in the main terminal. Here, one sails on through to the Concorde Room, a dedicated first-class lounge where a world of luxury awaits. Now, of course, my comments about the main terminal are tongue-in-cheek, but really, there's a lot of reality to it. Yes, we've seen lots of efficiency and speed that the business class experience affords, but with first class suddenly then is a world of privacy, exclusivity and speed straight through to that first glass of champagne and kicking off the experience in style. Suddenly gone are the buffets, replaced by fine china and first class service. How well thought out a traveller's journey is really separates business class from first class for me personally. The ability to step straight out of a cab and within minutes be sat in a restaurant and indeed a lounge of this quality, enjoying this level of service, sets first class apart from the business class. Yes, there could have been a couple of improvements on this occasion to some of the main courses available, but as an overall concept, I thought it was fantastic. One aspect that's well worth pointing out is just how much quieter the Concorde room has been versus my myriad of different experiences at the business class lounges at Heathrow's Terminal 5. This is really only a lounge that's available for the very top tiers of status with British Airways or those travelling first class. With that being the case, it keeps it nice and quiet, as you can see as we pan around the lounge and explore a few more of the areas together. One element I did like about the Concorde room was the good mixture of both luxury with a little bit of history. Being named the Concorde room, it's only right that this particular lounge had little elements from Concorde within it. This was actually one of the nose cones taken directly from one of the Concorde aircraft. At the start of the video, we checked in on a recent price comparison between the cabins, so if you had have opted for first class and paid the almost £300 more, do you feel as though you're getting value just yet? Well, if not, we'll head down to the aircraft and we can check out the all-important differences as we board this Boeing 777, and you can see exactly what things are like. Alrighty, so no doubt the moment that so many of you have been waiting for, as I know full well, is that onboard experience that really makes the biggest difference. Now, as I guide you through this next part of the comparison, we'll once again contrast back to the business class and take a look at British Airways' recently refreshed Club World cabin. In the last few years, this is one that's slowly been rolling out across the fleet. Here the seats are laid out in a 1-2-1 configuration, and goodness, do they look smart. It does really leave one wondering how much more you really get in the world of first class with these enclosed suites and sliding doors, as we'll discover a little bit later, and a myriad of different storage options available to you. Does one really need the luxuries of first class? Awaiting passengers at their seat is a water bottle and also an amenity kit. The amenity kit is something we will touch on also a little bit later into the video when we do the creature comfort segment. For now, we'll spend a few more minutes looking at the seats, the various different features, as I know it's such an important element. This newer Club Suite is an awful lot better laid out than the outgoing product. Definitely with regards to storage, it's just more thoughtfully laid out as an overall seat concept. What then about the pre-departure service before we head over and contrast first class? Well, in the business class, there's a different range of drinks that are available too, including the bubbles. Now, I wouldn't have thought this is champagne, but at least it gets you started with something nice at the seat. We're off to a pretty good start on the business class front. What then if you had opted for the upgrade? What awaits you forward in the world of first class? Well, here, seats laid out also in a 1-2-1 configuration, but the biggest thing that I would point to immediately is the feeling of scale forward in the first class. It's way too often overlooked, I believe, the British Airways First Class. Many people mock it, saying that it's the world's best business class, and I can see some parallels, but overall, one thing that is difficult to translate through the camera is that feeling of space and how much extra space you get. Yes, it's still 1-2-1 in terms of the configuration, but given how the seats are laid out, it affords for way more space per passenger. So worth pointing out that when I did it, I did so on one of their oldest aircraft cabin-wise, so it was a little bit warm, but we'll forgive that as we're comparing it against a brand newly updated 777 cabin back in the business class. Tons of storage, as you'd fully expect. In terms of the layout of the seat, it's actually relatively similar, but adorned with way higher quality materials. Leather replaces cheaper plastics in the business class, and overall, as I say, way more space, whether it's with the storage, the seat, the legroom, etc. So a tick for sure on the seat front, but what then about that welcome service as you get on board? Well, as I boarded first class, I was greeted with an amenity kit, some lovely pyjamas, some bubbles served in a much better glass, some nuts, and even a hot towel so beautifully presented. That onboarding experience, no doubt, is a big step above. So without further ado, we'll take to the skies and we'll kick off firstly with a look at the bathrooms and contrast exactly how they measure up. Now, if you had upgraded expecting shower spas or any of the lovely amenities you get with the likes of Emirates and some of the bigger Middle Eastern carriers, you'd be bitterly disappointed here. It's almost impossible to distinguish between the two bathrooms. As ever, it was business class up first. Here is the first class bathroom, and you can see little towels as the only real clue that that was indeed first class. Bathrooms perhaps being a slightly more minor aspect. Let's switch on over and look at the food. I know that that's going to be something super important to everyone. Now, when it comes to the full food menus, if you do want to see the full reviews, I will put links to them down in the description so you can really get into the menus in an awful lot of detail. In terms of the business class, you do get a physical menu. It's a little bit small, and there is a pre-service of drinks that comes before the food is actually brought around. In terms of the dining in the business class, I've always found it good, but nowhere near class leading. And you'll see in a moment when we flip on over to the first class, there's some real significant differences at play. Presentation wise, it doesn't quite do it for me. To be honest, wine served in glass, cupware, food served on trays as opposed to directly down on the table, course by course as you'd expect in one of the more class-leading business class cabins, and portions often more akin to what you'd expect back in premium economy. That was the main service. In terms of service between snacks, you do have the club kitchen. I think this is a really good feature, an awful lot of choice here, particularly useful on longer flights. This footage was taken from a 14-hour flight, so this was a really handy little area. And last but certainly not least, the second service on this flight was to be breakfast, a few different courses, but overall here, not too bad. Thumbs up. With a more impressive menu now in front of us, we've of course arrived back in the first class cabin. Here, an awful lot of choice per course and wonderfully detailed, particularly on the drinks front. As a wine lover, this is something that I very much appreciate, having that lovely write-up before you then tuck into the various different classes that you've chosen. But before all of that food and drink comes around is of course canapes. This is, after all, first class. Gone is that bag of nuts, and here things served so much better awaiting that starter. Just like the business class, let's take a moment to walk through the various different courses. Here, food served directly onto the table. Gone is that tray style of service, an awful lot more space, and my goodness, when I flew first class with British Airways, did everything taste fantastic. Each of the wine options perfectly paired with the food, some really good options right the way across the board, and the menus were themed in line with the destination that we were flying to. But of course the proof really is in the pudding, or in the wine glass, as we've got just here, so let's give that one a go and see how it goes down. Really very good. In conclusion, the wine's an awful lot better than back in the business class as well. It's not just the quality of the food. While you wait away those hours on board, of course the entertainment is absolutely key. Luckily, British Airways have the High Life entertainment system, and whether you're in the business class or the first class, you'll have a nice big screen to enjoy the entertainment on. In terms of the actual software itself, very much the same, identical in fact, across both cabins, so you don't get anything more in the first class, at this stage at least. In terms of some of the hardware elements, I've already mentioned the screen. Next up though, I would mention the headset. The headsets are shared between business class and premium economy. They're both very good, ear cancelling headphones, nice and comfortable to wear. I'd have no qualms at all, but you'll see once again as we transition back into the first class in a moment just how much better things are on this front as well. There is, however, a real difference on all things Wi-Fi front. Now, in more recent years, British Airways have been relatively generous and they've rolled out free messaging on the Wi-Fi, so that's been a tick in that particular box. However, if you are flying first class, you do get Wi-Fi completely free of charge. Beyond the messaging, if you're in business class, sadly, you are looking at purchasing one of the packages. These start at $4.99 for 1 hour at the moment and do go right the way up to the full flight pass, and that cost varies depending on the length of the flight. So we head on here to first class. You can see immediately the headset changes. I didn't notice any huge differences, truth be told, but to be completely honest with you, I'm not one for watching hours and hours of content on various different flights. In terms of some of the other hardware changes, do get a nice little remote control, which you also do get back in the business class. The reason, however, why it's so important in the first class is that given the length of the suite, the screen is nowhere near as easily touchable as it is in the business class, and that goes to pay testament again to the size of this particular cabin. So having that nice and easy control to use is actually quite a practical measure. With the sun now starting to set, it's high time to think about a little bit of rest on board, and that means checking out the amenity kits and also the beds. We'll kick off here back in the business class. British Airways have been working with the White Company now for many years. I'm a big fan of the amenity kit. It's got some really nice bits and pieces contained within it, and I think it looks super smart as well. What then about the bed? Well, I'm a big fan of the new Club Suite bed. It's incredibly private with that door that slides across. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. In terms of the key differences, this bed is ever so slightly more coffin-esque, as some passengers call it. Your legs do need to go quite significantly under the TV, so knee room whilst turning over is a little bit more limited, and overall the width of the bed isn't quite as good as first class. Privacy, however, cannot be rivaled. In terms of the contrast then to first class, here the amenity kit is noticeably better, and it's good to see British Airways doing something genuinely upgraded on this front. I've already briefly mentioned them as well, but the pyjamas are a really important aspect, and it's sad to see them not being handed out in the business class, but my goodness, are they welcome in the first class. It's great to get changed into something a little bit more comfortable for bed, and can mean that you can hang those clothes up ready for wear the next day and have them look really good as well. As for the bed, my goodness, is this super impressive. As already mentioned, there will be more width, I would feel, within it, just given the relatively wider seat element, and also more knee room. Your feet don't need to go anywhere near as far down in terms of that television in front, so as you turn over with your knees, as demonstrated there, you do have more space. British Airways do have suite doors on some aircraft, sadly not this one, but I actually found that given the sight lines in the cabin, privacy wasn't at all compromised. With us now having covered all of the key elements, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. If you are thinking of travelling premium in the coming weeks, don't miss out on my latest review of Finnair's brand new business class in the top left just now. And all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching today's video. Really hope it was useful, and I'll see you in another one real soon.